There we go.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Bored as Hell podcast. I'm Adam McDonald with Big Shiny Robot.
And I am Andy Wilson, aka Citizen Bot, also a big shiny robot.
And it was a pretty slow week at the movies. I think everyone's still hungover from the Star Wars Force Awakens and The Revenant. So the only thing we really got this week was 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, which we'll talk about shortly. And then we're going to follow that up with kind of our thoughts on the Oscar nominations. And if we have time, both Andy and I are voting members for the Razzie Awards. So we are going to hopefully talk about some of the worst pictures of last year, which they seem to agree with us as far as their nominations. And we actually might be able to sit here while Andy live votes for his on his ballot. So anyways, 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. Benghazi! So the newest film by Michael Bay. And this one kind of sneaked up on me. I didn't know this was coming out. Huh?
Boo, Michael Bay. Boo.
Exactly. It's Michael Bay, and so, let's just say he hasn't had the greatest run of quality movies since ever. But, you got to go see it. So I kind of went in a little bit worried about what's going to happen. And the first thing I will say is, for a Michael Bay movie, this is actually pretty decent. He does a very good job shooting action and, getting those kind of scenes, get the audience's blood pumping. So that's definitely on full display here. But there's some things holding it back. So as everyone knows, Benghazi happened a couple years ago on the eve of September 11th in Benghazi, Libya, when militants attacked the U.S. consulate there and brutally murdered the ambassador and some other members of his staff who were there. This story takes place from the point of view of 6 soldiers who were actually ex-military who were hanging out at the CIA annex right down the street from where the consulate was. It was an undercover CIA operative. No one knew about it. And so when all this crazy stuff starts going on, they want to hop in and get in there and save lives and do this. And the CIA agent who's in charge of everything says, no, we can't. We don't have orders. We can't do this. So eventually they say, screw it. We're going to go there. We're going to try to rescue as many people as we can. And so they go in, guns blazing, try to stave off the attack. And then when they go back to their compound, now everyone knows where they are. So the story is they have these 13 hours it's basically the 13 hours of their defense against these militants who are trying to take over that compound while waiting for help from the U.S. government, the U.K. government, Israeli government, anyone who could possibly get there and help them out. The only really big actor that you'll know from this movie is John Krasinski, who we know from The Office. He plays Bearded Soldier number 1, and then we've got 5 other actors who play Bearded Soldiers number 2 through 6. I'm not trying to write them off, but the characters themselves are very interchangeable, and with the exception of the one guy who's a smartass, when you see him on screen, it could be either one. It doesn't really matter. So like I said, this is very much a Michael Bay movie, and when he's doing the action scenes, it's done very well. Of course, there's the slow-mo, there's the explosions, there's the lens flares that we all know from Michael Bay movies, but it's exciting, it's pulse-pounding, it's interesting, it has you on the edge of your seat, and then for whatever reason, they decide to stop that and delve into how these people are dealing with being under fire and joking around and trying to make things less tense. And it happens so often that it really pulls you out of the experience and makes this movie drag. I mean, this is a 2-hour, 20-minute movie. By the end of it, you felt like you were there for 3 hours. It would have been a lot smarter had they just thrown all the action scenes together, made like one big hurrah towards the end, and pulled that off well. Instead, you get really cool moments and interspersed with more moments. Aside from that, at the beginning of the movie and then towards the end, they try to really make you quote-unquote feel for these soldiers by talking to their family back home. One of them finds out that he's going to have another kid. The other one is talking about how he hasn't seen his son yet since he was born, if I remember correctly. And it's the thing to keep in mind here is that, yes, these are ex-soldiers. These are people who fought for our country and put their lives on the line. But in this situation, they are very much soldiers for hire. They are there without backup. They are there to protect the CIA annex. And as someone who's had friends who went through Desert Storm, went through various Afghanistan and military conflicts, they were actually, once they retired, were given the choice to go back and be the security team. And every single one of them said, hell no, because if something bad happens, there is no backup. The military is not going to send people to come get you because you're not part of the military. You're a soldier of fortune. So trying to feel sorry for someone who put themselves purposely in that line of duty, it's kind of hard to feel that way for them. I know, wisely enough, though, the movie does not dive into the politics. So you're not going to see, oh, well, we called Miss Clinton and she said, no, we're not going to send people, or we did this, we did that. The majority of it is different military groups trying to find a way to send people to back them up and help them out. But yeah, the action scenes are good, but in the long run, it almost seems like this is Call of Duty the movie, because everyone's going in, shooting the bad guys, high-fiving each other, and then you've got the boring moments in between battles, which is kind of like the load times for the video game. So at best, it's pandering. At worst, it's almost propaganda for the U.S. military might, or the U.S. soldier of fortune might. It's not bad, but I think people are going to go see this, and they're going to go in hoping to find some semblance of, oh, hey, we're blaming this on Hillary, or hey, we're doing this. And people are finding that when it's not there. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I'm around a 5 or a 6. I think I'm going to go with a 5.5. This definitely is not Michael Bay's worst movie. It's probably among his better ones. But in the end, it's nothing we haven't seen before. And the story could have been really interesting and well done in the hands of like a Steven Spielberg or a Ridley Scott, or a director who is more seasoned and knows how to handle human interaction. But instead, we get, like I said, Call of Duty, the live movie.
I think it's really hard when you take something as politically charged as Benghazi is. And I mean, look at what's happening with this movie. Even though it tries to remain very apolitical, that political context, it just seeps through anyway. And like Donald Trump is renting out theaters to send people who are going to the Iowa caucuses to go see the movie before they go vote, because this is like catnip to a very specific type of person, that it doesn't matter whether you tell them, the facts of what really went on at Benghazi. It's like, oh, well, they're just mad at Obama. They're just mad at Hillary because look, people died, and yeah, that's awful. And this is it. Like, we cannot understate the tragedy of what actually happened, but like congressional investigation after congressional investigation, and yet here we still are, like with no smoking gun, as it were, even though that's probably a horrible turn of phrase. But I mean, I think people are going to take that political thing into it. That the premiere for this movie was actually out here in my neck of the woods at Cowboys Stadium up in Arlington.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, and they showed it up on that giant jumbotron that you can see if you've watched any of the Cowboys games. And man, people were mad at Hillary.
And that's the thing, that it's, again, I've always decried critics who go into a movie wanting to hate it, and then they come out and they've got that peering down their nose. Well, man, this movie was meh, 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 meh. It's the same thing with 13 Hours. Is Michael Bay has come out and said specifically, there is no political agenda here. We just wanted to tell the story of these people who were involved in what happened. So he's very specifically said there is no political agenda. And there isn't. I mean, there's no callback to the U.S. saying, and I think one scene they mentioned that the president's being briefed about what happened. But there's literally no political agenda here. There's nothing. There's no subtext. There's no reading between the lines. And I've already seen reactions online from people who were like going in, quote unquote, hoping to find the truth. We'll finally find out what it is. Yeah, you're going to find out the truth about Benghazi from a Michael Bay movie. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've got to do
it's
this.
just frustrating because the movie, like I said, the movie itself is not bad. There's, a 5.5 is an average rating. It's not bad. It's not good. There's some good parts to it, but it's annoying that people are going to go in looking for things that aren't there, and you're going to find them if you want to. I mean, I can go watch The Wizard of Oz and probably find Nazi propaganda if I was looking for it hard enough. I mean, I don't know. It's frustrating because this movie is going to accomplish things that it shouldn't, because people are expecting to find things that aren't there, and they will find them.
I've still got to see this, regardless of even the mediocre reviews that both you're giving it and I'm hearing from elsewhere. Just because it's Michael Bay and just because it's Benghazi, and it's two things that I just love to hate on. So I'm gonna have to go check it out for myself, but I will not review this movie until I've actually seen it, because that's something I really try not to do. And as we get into talking about the Oscars, there's movies I haven't seen, and it's like, I would love to tell you my opinion on that, but I haven't seen it yet. So we'll have to get to it.
So, like I said, coming from the point of view as this is a Michael Bay movie, it's actually pretty decent from what we're used to from him. It's a million times better than Transformers, but there's too much going on that people are going to look into. That it's infuriating because it's a war movie. It's like trying to go watch Saving Private Ryan and coming out with a thesis about Hitler. You're looking in the wrong place for evidence or quote unquote facts, when this is very much like we said before with Steve Jobs, that it's a movie about a man. It's not his biography. This is not the biography of the people who were there. It's based on the book, and even people who were part of this, who were in the movie, were typecast as like bad people. Like the head of the CIA annex, who said, "No, don't go," has come out and said, "I never said that. I told them to go." It's like I knew no matter what I said or did, they were going to make this decision anyways. So, yeah, it's fiction, people. Just go in. If you want to enjoy it, that's fine. Have a good time. Watch things blow up. But this is not real life. This is quote unquote based on a true story, and there were definitely liberties taken.
Very interesting.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. So,
anyways, so I've talked forever, and I'm sure you guys are all tired of hearing me. Andy, tell us about the Oscars.
well, we got this year's Oscar nominations this week, and boy howdy, I don't know whether I should have been surprised or not surprised by what we got. It just, the Twitter tag shows up again, Oscars so white. I got reminded that a year ago in my Time Hop app, I was complaining about exactly the same problem, that Selma and Ava DuVernay and David Oyelowo weren't nominated for awards, and I was really, really mad about that. And I'm looking at this year's Oscars, and it's like, well, here are your nominees, I guess. So let's run these down, and I think the best way to talk about these is to talk about not only like what's interesting that is in here and who might be some of our favorites, but who got left out. So Best Picture, we have The Big Short, Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, Room, and Spotlight. So interesting, I thought that the Academy, they did the expanded from 6 to 8, but they didn't go from 6 to 10. If they'd gone to 10, I think it was pretty obvious that Inside Out should have been in that list.
Well, Inside Out should have been on the list no matter what. I mean, I'm for one, am very, very surprised that, we knew Revenant was going to do well because that's just been the critical darling for the last season, but Mad Max getting 10 nominations right behind The Revenant is pretty spectacular. I mean, that was both one of our favorite movies of the last year. But Inside Out, which did get nominated for Best Animated Picture, since the moment I saw it, I've been saying this is one of the best pictures of the year. This deserves to be recognized for that accomplishment. And I don't know if it's just they're afraid of putting an animated movie up there because I think, oh, well, if an animated movie wins, then maybe people will, discredit the Oscars. Here's the thing: is I love the Oscars. I have a lot of fun watching it, and it's really cool to make the guesses and find out that my favorite movies were in there. But their ratings keep on going down, and the fact that you've got like Brooklyn and The Room are very both indie type films that most people haven't heard of. I mean, they're catching heat for nominating things that, yes, to them may be the best of the year, but the average Joe doesn't know about. I mean, thankfully we've got like The Martian and Bridge of Spies and Mad Max, but a lot of people didn't see a lot of these movies this year.
Yeah, I'm actually, I think the biggest surprise on this list for me though is, I mean, I expect the Academy to go for Room or even Brooklyn. I didn't expect The Big Short to be in there.
Really?
I loved it. I loved it. But that's because I felt like it was a movie almost tailor-made to my interests and my sensibilities. But this is a comedy movie about the mortgage crisis. So it's like, how in the world did that get in there? But Hateful Eight didn't? I don't know.
Exactly.
I find that very surprising. And which, in my estimation, I like The Big Short more than Hateful Eight, like just by a little bit. So I'm not like trying to make that comparison, but I am trying to say that I think it's interesting that that was not in this.
Yeah, list. And see, as much as I really did like Bridge of Spies, I'm very surprised that made it as compared to Hateful Eight, Inside Out, or some other movies that I felt were better movies than that one was.
Yeah. So let's move on to Best Director, because I feel like, when you have a Best Picture, there's also there's the Best Picture nominees, and then there's the Best Picture nominees who also got nominated for Best Director. And if one of those two things is off, then it's like either, yeah, it was a good movie, but it wasn't really like the best, or
right. So if you're looking to narrow down your list to what's going to win Best Picture, it would behoove you to go down to Best Director and choose from one of those 5 movies.
Yeah, and so for Best Director, you had The Big Short, Adam McKay, Mad Max: Fury Road, George Miller, The Revenant, Alejandro Inarritu, Room, Lenny Abramson, and Spotlight, Tom McCarthy. Again, no Tarantino. My new pet theory is that all of the Tarantino fans have become Inarritu fans.
Yeah.
I think that everyone who was into Tarantino's movies have now been like, oh, we're kind of done with him. He's kind of old school. Now we're still kind of in love with Birdman. We really like The Revenant. So, and then you've got George Miller, Mad Max: Fury Road. It's kind of I don't know, maybe is this one of those legacy things? Like, we need to give him his Oscar because he's been around so long and done so much, and we're finally getting around to honoring him, like the Scorsese thing? Or is this, I mean, I really think he deserves the nomination, but look at who's not on this list. Spielberg is not on this list for Bridge of Spies. And on top of that, Ridley Scott is not on here for The Martian. I think both of those are probably pretty big oversights. Again, especially with Adam McKay, like getting a Best Director nomination. Like, this is the guy who did Anchorman. And it's like now they're going to make an Anchorman 3, and it's going to be from the Academy Award nominated director.
Right. Well, and see, I have this big feeling that the top 2 that I think are going to pull up front, or it could be for Best Picture at least, and then also possibly Best Director, would be The Revenant and also Spotlight. And Spotlight, the quote-unquote liberal Hollywood elite love to have those types of movies because it kind of it doesn't, like we said, it doesn't poke fun at religion. It digs deep into the transgressions of religion, and I see that being something that they would award for that message piece. You know, like it's like a message award. But then The Revenant with Iñárritu, I mean, last year with Birdman was fantastic, and the fact that he's paired up again with the same cinematographer who won last year as well, and telling that story, because with The Revenant, which honestly I haven't seen yet, every time I try to go see it, something horrible happens and I miss the screening. But just reading about it, and then, you know, pretty much the hell the whole film crew went through. They were out there literally freezing their asses off doing this movie. The cinematographer shot all the scenes with natural ambient light. They didn't have actual lights out there doing stuff. So he likes to take the movie and the genre and do it in ways that have never been done before. Gravity gave us zero gravity effects no one had done before. Birdman, it was like you were watching, you know, a movie that was shot in one take. And then with The Revenant, we have this new way of doing it. So I think there could be a very good chance that they might go that route. But then again, he's a relatively new director on the scene, and do they want to reward a new director 2 years in a row? Or do they want to go, like I said, maybe with a George Miller who, quote unquote, it's his time kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think that'll be interesting how that plays out. But again, I'm really surprised that Scott wasn't nominated for The Martian, but Adam McKay was for The Big Short. So whoever was doing the PR for The Big Short and sending out those gift baskets, I think they did their job. Those people deserve some bonuses.
Well, I wish they'd sent me one, damn it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'd have loved a Big Short gift basket. Like, I loved that movie, but it's so funny because it's a very different kind of film, and it's a very different kind of film to see in the Oscar nominations. Let's look at acting. So for actor in a lead,
I think acting's kind of, well, go ahead. I think we kind of know who's going to win that.
Yeah, well, we've got Bryan Cranston for Trumbo, Matt Damon for The Martian, Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant, Fassbender for Steve Jobs, Eddie Redmayne for The Danish Girl. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to write off Eddie Redmayne. I don't care how good that performance was. I'm still not forgiving you for Jupiter Ascending.
Nope, and we'll talk about that in the Razzies in a minute too.
Yeah. So you seem to think DiCaprio's got it nailed down.
He's been nominated enough times. He's done enough stuff. He's got such a body of work that he's not been rewarded for. This is going to be a legacy award for him. I mean, he just won the Golden Globe. I don't, unless something crazy happens. And, you know, honestly, I think Michael Fassbender as Steve Jobs was fantastic, and that was one of my favorite performances of the year. But yeah, it goes to the whole, what did he suffer through for his art? And the fact that he has not won other times when he probably should have. So this is going to be his year.
So that's probably true. I really need to see The Revenant so I can make an informed decision on that. So actress in a leading role: Cate Blanchett for Carol, Brie Larson for Room, Jennifer Lawrence, Joy, Charlotte Rampling, 45 Years, and Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn. Again, I want to write off Cate Blanchett because I just thought Carol was boring, but I don't know. She might be in it, but I don't know. Yeah, I have not seen Room and I've not seen Brooklyn, and these are two of the films that I'm most excited to see because of these nominations. I've meant to get around to them because they both just look like great films, and I don't know that I can really weigh in on this, having not seen those.
Yeah, and I have not seen The Room either. But again, everyone's talking about her performance. The moment that movie came out, it was saying that was the best performance of the year for male and female. So I'm going to predict that right now. I'll be able to weigh in hopefully within the next couple of weeks, because I've got Sundance too, so I got to plan for all that. But yeah, that was, again, with the Golden Globes, everything else, that's the early contender.
Important safety tip: do not try to see The Room, because that is one of the most terrible movies ever made. but go see Room, which is nominated. Have you ever seen The Room, Adam?
And see, no, and that's what was funny when this movie came out. I thought they were referring to The Room. I'm like, that was the most horrible movie I've ever heard of. Like, why would you like be awarding someone for their performance? And I was like, oh, this is Room. Okay, gotcha.
Lisa, you're tearing me apart. It's so great. Anyway, actor in a supporting role: Christian Bale, The Big Short; Tom Hardy, The Revenant; Mark Ruffalo, Spotlight; Mark Rylance, Bridge of Spies; Sylvester Stallone, Creed. Man, that is a tough category for me right there. Because you kind of want to give it to Sylvester Stallone, just because. And
Yeah.
yeah, but really, I think, like, if I had to fill out an Academy ballot, I'd probably go for Mark Rylance in Bridge of Spies. That was
And see, that's where I am too.
that was a great performance. But I have a hard time not nerd crushing on both Tom Hardy and Mark Ruffalo. I'd probably go Ruffalo over Hardy over Bale. But that's really, really close. But between them, Ruffalo's great in Spotlight. He's probably really actually surprised that Michael Keaton didn't get a nomination for Best Actor, but for Spotlight. But I guess he got it last year. So,
but he didn't win, which he needs to win still.
Yeah, I think both Ruffalo and Keaton and Liev Schreiber give the three best performances in Spotlight. So that's worth seeing. Actress in a supporting role. Let's just give it to Jennifer Jason Leigh for The Hateful Eight. But
yeah, she's in the whole movie, but she doesn't really come to life until the last third, and she absolutely owns every single second when she kind of comes out of her shell. And that's when the plot reveal comes out. They could possibly do Kate Winslet, because I was halfway through Steve Jobs and didn't realize that was her.
Yeah.
But Jennifer Jason Leigh, she nailed that role. She was the best. I'd say probably the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
So I don't see why they would give it to anyone else but her.
And so the other ones you mentioned, Kate Winslet, Rooney Mara and Carol, again, snore for me. Rachel McAdams, Spotlight, who I thought was great. And this is interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to go there.
Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl. Why she's nominated for The Danish Girl and not Ex Machina, and why Ex Machina isn't anywhere else in these major awards, I do not understand.
Yeah, I think maybe they felt, we gave it to The Martian, that's enough sci-fi. But no, she should have been nominated for Ex Machina, because for 9/10 of that movie, she's acting just with her face. She's this robot, and then she puts on clothes and looks more human. But she gives the most amazing, brilliant, heartfelt, and at the same time subtle performance that I've seen. In fact, if you put up her in Ex Machina versus Jennifer Jason Leigh from Hateful Eight, there might be more of a battle there.
Yep.
But I'm not sure what they were thinking about that one, because she definitely deserved it more for Ex Machina than for Danish Girl.
Ex Machina came out in the late winter, early spring, and I think just everyone had forgotten about it except for in the writing awards. So
yeah.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of other categories here. What else do you want to go through, Adam?
The big ones are pretty much we did those. I mean, animated feature film, that's Inside Out without a second thought. Cinematography, that's the other one I want to talk about too.
We've got Carol, Ed Lachman, who that actually is a very beautifully shot film. So I'll give them that. The Hateful Eight, Robert Richardson, yeah. Mad Max Fury Road, John Seale. The Revenant, Emmanuel Lubezki, and Sicario, Roger Deakins. That's a very interesting group right there. And that's going to be a tough choice. I would probably, I've said before I'd go with Hateful Eight for cinematography, just because I'm in love with that 70 millimeter and what he's able to do with that. You might have convinced me though in our year-end wrap-up to go with Mad Max. Um, that's really tough, and of course we've got to go see The Revenant. So
Yeah, and again, it goes back to what I mentioned was that he shot the whole movie with natural ambient light,
yep,
but and this goes back to the Academy Award doing what the Academy doing what they do. He's already won 2 years in a row. So do you think they're going to give it to him 3 years in a row?
yeah. So problem, yeah. I don't know.
If
Cinematography seems like one of those like underappreciated jobs that maybe they're they'll go ahead and have a favorite and go ahead and like say, yeah, you're the king, you're the Babe Ruth of this category. We're gonna keep rewarding you. So I don't
See,
know.
I don't think anyone's ever won three in a row. I think the most we've had is two in a row. Because Tom Hanks got nominated 3 years in a row. He won two of them.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm iffy. Again, this is one of those things where do the politics take place over what's better? So if they don't do George Miller for Best Director, I could see them very easily doing this for Best Cinematography because that movie is absolutely gorgeous, and the way they did this, all the stunts live. The only really green screen they used was to add in background effects. They did things in this movie that hadn't been done before.
Yeah. So I am going to give a little shout out to Sicario though, that was a very well put together film. That if I mean really, I yeah, The Hateful Eight, Mad Max, and Revenant are probably where the action's at, but I'm glad to see Sicario on that list just because. So
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Again, I'll be able to make better predictions as time goes on. Just so everyone knows, if you want to predict the Oscars really well, go watch the SAG Awards, watch the Directors Guild Awards, watch the Writers Guild Awards, because those movies that win those awards generally win the same ones at the Academy Awards. So
yeah,
I think it was 2 years ago. I hit a perfect score in all the big awards and then some of the smaller ones, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, how'd you do it?" I'm like, "Well, you just have to keep your eyes out."
well, because most of the people who are a member of SAG are member, or most of the people who are members of SAG are members of the Academy. Most of the people who are members of the Directors Guild are member of the Academy, and so on. So
Yeah.
it's like they're if they win in both of those, that's probably a lot of ballots that are going.
Yeah, and keep in mind that there's a lot more actors and actresses than there are directors and writers and cinematographers. So keep an eye on those movies or those awards to see what they nominate and what they honor, because that's probably going to have a bit more sway than maybe what the Directors Guild would have. So, but anyways, we talked about some of the best this year. Let's switch over really quickly and talk about just a couple of the Razzies. So I already sent my ballot in, and I know
Okay.
you're still working on yours because they're due by February 14th, I think.
Yeah, so we'll send in a night. Well, I'm going to fill this out right now. Let's do this together.
Okay, so I've
We've got
got some
worst,
Razzies.
yeah, the Razzies, worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. Hot Tub Time Machine 2, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, Human Centipede 3, Fantastic Four, and Alvin and the Chipmunks 4, The Road Trip. I got to go with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I didn't see Road Trip or Human Centipede 3 because no. But yeah, Fantastic Four was just god awful.
Yeah, I mean, I saw. Well, I didn't see Human Centipede 3. Thank goodness. I stopped after the second one. Like, just no. I don't
I
think
was able to handle a Serbian film just fine, but something about Human Centipede just always sets me off.
evil makes the Human Centipede. Anyway, it's
Feed
ridiculous.
her, feed her.
That movie. So, but I got to go with Fantastic Four just because the what it should have been versus what it was. So, worst screenplay: Pixels, 50 Shades of Grey, Jupiter Ascending, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, or Fantastic Four. Um, I think it's really hard to say like what the problem with the movie was, if it came from the script or if it was something else. And I think like Pixels, I don't know if it was necessarily the script. I think that was Adam Sandler and the directing there. Um, I and the same with Fantastic Four. I mean, the script was dumb, but that wasn't the real problem with it. I kind of want to go with 50 Shades or with Jupiter Ascending. I don't know. What did you go with?
I did Jupiter Ascending because half the time I'm making fun of that movie is because of the god awful script.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah,
Call me Jupe. No, you were never called Jupe once in the entire damn movie, and you're never called Jupe ever again. Shut
yeah.
the hell up. You're stupid.
No. And the bees are attracted to her. I think that's yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, okay. I'm yeah, Jupiter Ascending, done. Worst supporting actor, Josh Gad, Pixels and the Wedding Ringer, Eddie Redmayne, Jupiter Ascending. Okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah, that's it. We got that.
Also nominated Jason Lee for Alvin and the Chipmunks, Kevin James for Pixels, and Chevy Chase, Hot Tub Time Machine 2 and Vacation. He wasn't that bad in either of those.
He was just a bumbling fool.
He was just there. Worst screen combo: Adam Sandler and Any Pair of Shoes in The Cobbler, Johnny Depp and his glued-on mustache in Mordecai, all four Fantastics, Fantastic Four, Kevin James in either his Segway or his glued-on mustache in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, 50 Shades of Grey. You know, I think I didn't dislike the Fantastic Four, all of them. I think I just hated Miles Teller.
Yes, who apparently is on the short list to be young Han Solo, and I wanted to take that and blow that idea up with all the TNT.
No. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson for 50 Shades. That was a real lack of chemistry there, and they kind of hated each other.
That's why I went with, because they hated each other in real life. In the interview they're in, whatever else, they absolutely despise each other, and that very much came across in that movie. And considering it's supposed to be about a very S&M kind of sexual relationship, it was like watching two pieces of wood clap together. It was horrible.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going with that. Okay, worst director: Paul Flickman, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, Josh Trank, Fantastic Four. Okay, I'm stopping. Yeah.
Actually, kind of funny too is they might be pulling in Alan Smithy with that one, because he's kind of disowning that movie because of all the studio meddling. So but he's decrying studio meddling. I think that he didn't know what he was doing, and it got away from him. No, he got in over his head because he was given a budget of $100 million instead of the $10 million he had for Chronicle, and didn't know what to do with it. So
yeah. So also nominated in there, the Wachowskis for Jupiter Ascending and Sam Taylor Johnson for 50 Shades. Yeah, I got to go with Josh Trank on that. Okay. Worst supporting actress: Rooney Mara for Pan. Oh, Rooney. Kaylee Cuoco Sweeting for Alvin and the Chipmunks 4 and The Wedding Ringer, Julianne Moore for Seventh Son, Michelle Monaghan for Pixels, and Amanda Seyfried, Love the Coopers and Pan. That is tough. I didn't hate Michelle Monaghan in Pixels.
And she wasn't the worst part of that. She actually was the only interesting part.
I didn't see Love the Coopers. Should I that'd be terrible if I just vote for Amanda Seyfried.
No, don't. If you hated her in Pan, do that. See, I voted for Amanda Seyfried because it was the only damn chance I had to vote for Love the Coopers, and that movie is so god awful that it has to win something.
She's barely in Pan. She's in it for like 2 seconds. She drops her baby off at the orphanage, and that's it. So yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, worst actress: Katherine Heigl, Home Sweet Hell, Gwyneth Paltrow, Mordecai, Mila Kunis, Jupiter Ascending, Dakota Johnson, 50 Shades of Grey, and J-Lo, The Boy Next Door. I'm going to go with Mila Kunis. It was just awful.
I don't remember if I did Dakota Johnson or Jennifer Lopez. I just remember that they were both horrible actors, horrible in those roles. Mila Kunis didn't bug me too much in Jupiter Ascending. In fact, going back, I think the biggest problem with that was the script, because there was scenes that were repeated and like the whole "call me Jupe" things. Things were brought up that were never mentioned again. It was more the script and Eddie Redmayne that annoyed me with that movie.
Yeah, no, I was there was a lot there. Worst actor. It begins and ends with Adam Sandler.
Oh,
So,
easy, yeah. That's dumb.
also nominated Johnny Depp for Mordecai, Channing Tatum, Jupiter Ascending, Jamie Dornan, 50 Shades of Grey, and Kevin James, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Man, people really hated Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I mean, it was a dumb movie.
They didn't screen it for us, so I didn't see it. So
I saw it, but it wasn't that bad. It was just stupid. There's many worse movies out there. Entourage was a movie that I nominated as a write-in over and over in the Razzies, and nowhere on here. Way worse than Mall Cop.
Oh, see, would love the Coopers. I wrote in every category. So,
yeah. Worst picture: Pixels, Jupiter Ascending, 50 Shades of Grey, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, and Fantastic Four. I'm going with Pixels.
And see, I went Fantastic Four, and that actually works with our reviews because you hated Pixels worse than I did, and I hated Fantastic Four worse than you did. So
now there is the Redeemer Award. So someone who has previously won Razzies who did something good this year. So we have Sylvester Stallone for Creed. We talked about that. It's pretty good. Will Smith for Concussion. Elizabeth Banks, who I didn't know she directed movie 47, but she did direct Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah.
And M. Night Shyamalan.
Which I don't know why he's there because The Visit was a piece of crap. So
I gotta go with Elizabeth Banks. I kind of loved Pitch Perfect 2, and she had a great year otherwise. She did a lot of other great things. She was in that Brian Wilson movie, Love and Mercy, and
right, Love and Mercy,
and she was also in the Hunger Games. So, and I still kind of have a crush on Elizabeth Banks.
I went with Sylvester Stallone because it's good to see him back doing what he does well, and he didn't win for playing Rocky back when Rocky came out, and I think it'd be kind of cool if this was his year to kind of come back and. Because I mean, dude, Stallone's getting up there. We don't know how much, with this month being the way it's been, who knows how much longer we have some of these people for. So I think it'd be kind of cool if he gets his due. And the really cool thing with this is anyone who wants to vote for the Redeemer Award, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes and do a search there, anyone can vote on that. So if you want to throw your vote in there and say who you think deserves this one, the only really good Razzie, you all have the chance to do that until I believe February 14th.
Yep. So that's great. I'm yay for Razzies, yay for badness.
Cool. So there you have it. Mediocre movie this week. You got some Oscar thoughts, and then you got to listen to Andy live vote for the Razzies. So next week we've got again slow week. We've got Sundance coming up. I will be there, so hopefully I'll see some good things I can share with you, and possibly some bad ones to stay away from. And then Anomalisa, if I hope I'm saying that right, is the stop-motion animation film. It's by the same guys who did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and also a nominee for Best Animated Picture. So hopefully we'll have a chance to check that out and share our thoughts with you next weekend. So everyone have a good week, and hail Satan, and have a lovely afternoon.